Hey guys, it is Bryn,
And Casey.
and we're here going to be playing a game called Robo Rally.
Robo Rally, the new edition of Robo Rally. So Robo Rally has been around for a while. It's one of the earlier games I played, and it's super fun. It's basically a factory where after it shuts down, all the people go home. The robots come on and then have deadly races to see who's the best robot in the factory. It's just mayhem as you're racing the robots. It features a game mechanic called program movement. So instead of moving like one step at a time, you have to program your entire action out from like for a full 5 turns ahead. So you have to keep thinking ahead. But then there's board elements that change, and you can get bumped by other robots and shot by other robots. This is a newer version, so they've improved some of the clunkier mechanics from the first game, upgraded components, changed a bit how initiative and that works. So I haven't played the new version yet, so I was reading the video, reading what's different in it, and it looks pretty exciting. The damage, they've changed how damage affects you, so it's a little more interesting. The way you get upgrades is easier, so that adds a little excitement to there. And yeah, so we'll walk you through how to play, how to set it up. Basically, when you open up the game, you'll see a bunch of components all nicely sorted in the top here. And so first step will be to pick a robot. And there is, how many? 6 robots. So you can play up to 6 players on this. And so as you can see, we got 6 fun robots like Spinbot, Hulk X90, Smashbot, and so on. Hammerbot, Zoombot, Twonky. So everyone picks a robot.
Hey. Sure.
So Bryn, you can pick a robot first.
I'll go with that one. Hammer
All right, I'll go with Smashbot. So you pick your robot, flip it over. I'm yellow, Bryn's purple. You grab your designated programming deck. It's blue, but close enough. So yeah, so you grab your programming deck out of there. All mine are yellow. Shuffle it up.
Shuffle. So if you're coming in the round table, who's going to be like looking for this game? Is this a family game? Is this something you want to play?
Yeah, so this can be played for multiple age groups. So you don't want to go too young because it gets a little complicated trying to plan your movements ahead. But you can go a lighter version where you just remove like the upgrade deck and just play a simple race game. It's good for larger groups. It's good for competitive friends because it can get pretty ruthless, pushing robots around, shooting each other with lasers and stuff. So it has a wide appeal. Yeah, it is a frantic, fun game that I feel like anyone can enjoy. So we got our decks. We take 5 energy cubes that are used for upgrades. And put them in your energy reserve.
What's that? Here?
Yeah, in the colored space there. We have 2 players, so we're going to put 2 upgrades available on the board.
Okay.
And these are purchasable with energy cubes. As you can see, their costs are up in the top right. There's different versions of upgrades. So red upgrades are temporary upgrades. Basically, on your turn, you can activate it and then discard the card. Yellow upgrades are passive upgrades that are always in effect and will stick around for the rest of the game. So for the temporary one, we got hack for 1 energy. Execute the programming in your current register again. So you can jump ahead with, like, if you move 3, you can use the hack thing to move another 3, getting 6 space head start there. And then number 4 is cache memory. You may discard cards from your hand and place them on the top of your deck instead of basically you're drawing 9 cards and you're only going to put 5 of them, and the next 4 you'd have to discard. With cache memory, you can put them on the top, so that next round when you draw them, you'll get those moves again. So if you have really good movement or turns that you need, but can't use them in your first 5 moves of the turn, you can use this to get them back instead of waiting for the deck to cycle.
Cool.
We set up the map. We're doing what's called Dizzy Highway or something similar. Dizzying Highway. It's a suggested starting map to play within the game. We are racing to get to this checkpoint here. As you can see, there's conveyor belts. So when you end your turn on the conveyor belts, it'll move you along the conveyor path. These energy blocks here, if you land on those, you gain an energy cube. If you land and stop in one of the lasers, you get shot and take damage. So kind of just ripping around, racing on here. If you get pushed off the board, you end up blowing up and have to reboot on the space here. So you picked what, Hammerbot?
Yep.
So we got your robot here.
And I'm sorry, so what am I trying to do in this game?
You're programming your movement cards to race your robot from the starting space here and finish your turn on this checkpoint here.
Okay.
And so more advanced maps will have multiple checkpoints. So then instead of first one to here, it'll be first one to get three of the stops. I can't get the robots out. This guy's really wedged in there. This insert might get replaced. All right, so you can pick your starting space. I'll pick my starting space.
Be anywhere on the board?
Any one of these white starting spots.
Okay.
I'm gonna put mine here. So the way initiative works and determine who goes first is instead of just going around the table, it's whoever's robot is closest to this antenna here.
Okay, so it's you.
So I would get to go first.
You're messing up the card.
I know. I'm all over the place. Okay.
All right.
So we're gonna start. We're gonna take 9 cards from the top of our programming deck.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9 cards.
All right, so we got 9 cards from our program. As you can see, it's like move forward 1, turn right, turn left, move ahead 3, so on. Yep. So these are the movements. What we're gonna do now on our turn is we're gonna pick 5 of them and put them in the order that we wanna move our robots in. So, for example, like I'm obviously trying to progress forward to get to the checkpoint. So move 3 is probably gonna be a good start. And then I'll probably wanna try and I'll have to turn at some point because I can't get through this wall. And then eventually get around the board likewise.
What happens on the conveyor belt?
On the conveyor belt, I'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to the conveyor belt. Essentially, the conveyor belt, when you finish your movement on there, the conveyor belt activates. And so this is a blue conveyor, it's moving quick. You move 2 spaces. So when you finish your movement on the conveyor belt, you move 2 spaces.
Okay, so when I'm trying to pick my first moves, should I try to get myself onto the conveyor belt?
You can, because it can help you get to where you need to go, like get around walls. Like if I ideally stopped on a conveyor belt, I'd move 2 to here, and then I would try and progress, like get off the conveyor belt or ride it all the way around if I could.
Okay.
The conveyor belt moves 2 spaces. The lasers can fire, hitting you for damage.
Okay.
So yeah, essentially we're planning our movement 5 turns ahead. So we're gonna do 1 move card, and then conveyor belt and lasers will fire, and then we'll do our second move card. And
so I probably want to go like 1 ahead, turn right, and then go up from here, so I can get somewhere.
Yeah, you can pick up energy cubes for upgrades, or pick up the.
All right, so I'm just gonna pick 5 moves. Go up 1, turn right. Again, just does the same motion.
Yes, yeah, it does the same as your last register turn.
Okay, and when it says turn right, it's not an actual move right, it's just turning the actual robot on that space, right?
Right.
Okay, so go, turn right, move 2. Don't have a turn left. I can turn right, and then again does the same movement, so turn right again, which should be left. Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So you put them. You put them face down there. The other part that's fun and what gets crazy about this is it's a race, right? So after you program your 5 movement, the first person to finish gets to flip this timer, and that gives everyone else 30 seconds to figure out their movement and put it down.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're playing with newer players, you could probably skip the timer for the first little bit. But if the timer runs out and they haven't picked up their movement, they discard their cards, and then they just get dealt randomly cards for the rest of the register.
All right.
So the cards the rest of our hand goes in our discard.
Where's discard? The one that says discard.
Yeah.
Cool. Piece of cake. Let's go.
All right. So we did our programming phase. We skipped the upgrade phase because it's just buying upgrades, but.
Yep.
So now we do activation. So the way activation works is, again, the robot who's closest to the beacon, which is me, I'll flip my activation thing first.
Okay.
So I'm moving ahead 2 spaces. And then you would use your activation phase.
So move ahead 1. Flop.
All right. So after the robots move, and there's handy on the back of the rule book, there's a nice little steps activation. You'll probably want to keep this handy to figure out which board elements trigger first and when. So yeah, the players register, move register. Oh, it doesn't have the board elements. Should be a reference card somewhere. I'm sorry. I don't have it memorized. Okay, conveyor belts would move. Green conveyor belts move. There's pushers, not on this map. Gears can turn you as well. Lasers fire. Robots fire. So each robot has, so each robot has a point that shows the direction they're facing. They always shoot forward, and they shoot unlimited number of spaces. So if I happen to be turned like this, I would be shooting you for damage.
And that happens automatically every turn.
After after automatically end of the turn. Yeah, collect energy and then find out checkpoint.
Cool.
So that's the end of that. Now we're gonna go to register 2. I'm still closer, so I get to move first.
Close. Okay.
Yeah, closer than antenna. So I'm gonna move 2. I'm gonna end here. You're gonna flip your second one.
Number 2, turn right. Whee.
All right. So then board elements. So conveyor would go. I'm gonna move 1, and then 2, and this is gonna turn me. So I'm gonna be like that.
Why are you moving 2? It just moves 2.
This conveyor belt is a double fast one. It's got the 2 arrows to show you that you move twice.
Okay.
It's moving you 2 spaces. A green conveyor belt has 1 arrow, like this one.
Yep.
That's only moving you 1 space.
Okay.
All right. Lasers fire. No one's in range, so we go to 3. This time you're closer to the conveyor or to the antenna, so you're gonna activate first.
I get to move 2. 1, 2.
I'm gonna flip mine. I'm gonna turn right, and then conveyor belts will activate, and I go forward 2.
Wow. Lasers fire.
Lasers fired. No one's hit. And then we go to turn 4.
Oh,
So
you're kicking my ass here. Turn right. Whee. Wait. Whee.
yeah. So this is an example of where it gets tricky as you're like playing in your head, trying to figure out movement, especially when you get conveyor belts and gears that are spinning as well. Bryn just turned himself the wrong direction. You can't fix that for your, well, unless you're going backwards, which is another viable strategy. So yeah, conveyor belts. Oh, I guess I gotta move 1. Conveyor belts activate. I move 2.
Lasers fire.
Lasers fire.
Next
You're
turn.
shooting nowhere.
I'm
Next turn, you're
closest.
still closest.
Yeah. I turn right again.
All right, I'm going to turn right, which is not the direction I wanted. But, and then the conveyor belts will move me to, oh wait, that is the direction I wanted. Perfect. So that's the end of our 5-step registry. So then we would throw these back
Into the discard pile.
into the discard pile.
Okay.
And then we would draw another 9. And we would turn would play, would proceed, so we would draw 9 and then pick our 5 movement.
9.
So where things get interesting is as you're going, and it's definitely, there's boards that are designed for two players. This one's obviously a little more spaced out. When you get 6 robots all trying to race through here, there's a lot more bumping and shooting and franticness that way.
What happens when you get shot?
So when you get shot, you take a spam damage card and you put it in your discard.
Okay.
And so eventually, when you run out of movement cards, you get shuffled back into your deck and then you draw. And then, so this is gonna end up in one of your hands. So you don't have to play the damage card, but it gets more crazy when you do start taking multiple. So eventually you might have to play a damage card in your register. So on your turn, this is play the top card of your programming deck in this register. So if I ended up having to put it here, on my turn, instead of moving, I just flip one at random and like, oh, now I U-turn. Now I'm going the wrong direction for whatever I had coming up. So yeah, as you're adding more damage. Every laser shot adds spam, and then there's different cards like Trojan horses can be added where immediately take 2 spam damage and then play the top card. There's virus. Robots within a 6-space radius of your robot immediately take a damage and then flip the card. The worm is reboot. So if you ever take, if you fall into a pit or get pushed off the board, you end up having to reboot and then you start on this space here. So yeah, so once we did our 5, we would get to do the upgrade phase again, purchase stuff with our energy cubes, do our reprogramming part. There's always 2 cards here, so as some get purchased, then you'll get new ones. So,
could it be strategy if you started here to just purposely knock yourself off the board to reboot there?
I suppose you could.
So I'd be way closer to the finish line if that was the case.
Unless they change it in that you just can't drive off the board. It used to be if you went off the board, you'd be blown up. But back then, also, if you blew up, you had to start back in your starting space. So I will look that up and we will put it in the comments of the video.
Okay, I like it.
Sounds good. So yeah, so that's essentially Robo Rally. Like I said, plays better. I think 4 players is a good spot with Robo Rally to get enough robot interaction while racing for it, especially when everyone's getting near the end here. Everyone's bumping and pushing each other. As you start playing more complicated boards, like if you look in the back of the book, it shows like there's another 5 boards here. They're both double-sided. Some of them are just more complicated. Like you got this one here where you're going on a conveyor with lasers shooting across the conveyor belts. This one you can even get pushed and ride the conveyor into a pit, causing you to reboot. More of the complicated maps connect together, so then they're linked like that. Probably not like that per se, but this one's just full of pits, and then these little ones here are pushers that if you are standing on them during register 1, 3, or 5, you get pushed into a pit. So
cool.
They can get really cool. You start getting cunning where you're pushing them into a register so they get pushed into a pit. Yeah, so robots, if they're moving, and if I have a move 2 and you're in my way, I'm just going to move you 2 spaces over and progress that way.
I like it. So yeah, it seems like a pretty simple game. Flip cards, ride conveyor belts, and shoot.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, it gets really crazy when you're trying to rush to do this, especially when you add the sand timer aspect. You get someone who puts down their 5 cards pretty quick, and then your friend, oh no, I can't figure this out, and then you get turned around and go in the wrong direction. Cool. It's yeah. The base game was one of my really big favorites, and I'm excited to try this new one, the new stuff. Components look great.
One time with you. You know what my favorite part of it was?
Did you win?
I beat you. Yeah.
I'd probably let you win.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't want you to be disappointed I made you go all the way to Calgary to play board games to lose them all.
I don't think so. I don't think I won any other games. All right. Anything else you gotta say? You're gonna put the other part in the comments?
Yep. I'll look up driving off the board right away here.
Awesome.
But yeah, so that's Robo Rally. I love this game. If you come in, I'll gladly sit down with you and walk you through again how to play it. Like I said, there's a whole booklet in the back here with all the different maps and explaining all the different board elements you'll run into on the game. Breakdown of all the upgrade cards you have in there. So yeah.
Awesome. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
See you at Roundtable.
We need to do our subscribe.
Oh, right. Okay.
You remember?
You do it.
All right. YouTube, if you want to watch more of our videos on how to play some dumbed down versions of games so people like myself can understand how to play, make sure you subscribe. Look, there, right there, to our YouTube channel.
I'm expecting a bigger leg.
I was looking out for your safety. Thanks for watching.
Bye.